Tell me about Lincoln. Tell me about that biopic.
Yeah, speaking of biopics, I saw Lincoln the other day, and I thought this was actually probably one of this is going to garner a whole lot of Oscar talk, in my opinion. It really, as far as the story goes, it really focuses on about the last 4 months of Lincoln's presidency or existence, whichever you prefer. It basically kind of shows how Lincoln he's basically the 1800s version of a rock star. He has soldiers and all sorts of people coming up to him quoting his Emancipation Proclamation and stuff, and he just sits there and he welcomes everybody. It's really kind of neat to kind of see that sort of popularity, I guess. It really kind of focuses on basically about two things: how he ends the Civil War and also how he gets the 13th Amendment passed. And if you're not sure what that is, pull up a history book or Google or Wikipedia or whatever. So Daniel Day-Lewis is absolutely superb as Abraham Lincoln. You see Abraham Lincoln. It's similar to how you were with Hitchcock. You see the character, not the actor. And you really, even when you're looking for Daniel Day-Lewis, every now and then you might get a glimpse of him, but you see Abraham Lincoln. Like I said, it was just Lincoln and not really so much an actor's portrayal of him. There's a lot of kind of mid-level famous people that make some supporting roles. It was almost like people were just volunteering, sign me up. I don't care if I'm on the screen for 2 minutes, but there's everybody like Sally Field, James Spader he's got a pretty small role. Walton Goggins, Tim Blake Nelson, Jared Harris, and even Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays Lincoln's returning son. And it's probably could have even left him out of it. It really wasn't very compelling on his part, but it was it's kind of neat. But as far as the production stuff goes, the attention to detail with the costumes and the sets was absolutely phenomenal. It really made you feel, you could kind of feel the era, you could feel the how far it was back in time, but without the giant sweeping scenes of battlefields and all that stuff. It really kind of kept everything tight, but the sets and everything was set very just well. Just the attention to detail with everything it just really made it feel like you were back in the 1800s. Really kind of a minimal use of CGI. So it really, again, with the close shots, a lot of shots were in rooms, meeting room, with the Congress and everything. Maybe a couple of docks or loading areas, small streets, that kind of stuff. So it was, you didn't have to have a wide overhead shot of Washington in the 1800s, that kind of stuff. So you really kind of, I guess all that money they used for better uses. So basically the overall verdict is Lincoln, it really kind of told a lot of he really told a lot of like historical anecdotes, and they really played on that a lot. And he used a lot of these stories to kind of make his points whenever he was arguing with other congressmen, senators, etc. And Daniel Day-Lewis's delivery of all this was just so magnificent. I could just sit there and watch him tell these stories as Abraham Lincoln for like 2 hours. It was just, these stories were just great. I just kept waiting to hear more story. He'd tell a story about Ethan Allen or some other, historical figure, that kind of stuff. And that's really, to me, is what made the movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was just funny because he's got this humor, and it even plays on it so much where one of the other guys, they're in this large meeting, and the guy finally just gets up and goes, not another story. And he storms out and everybody just kind of laughs. So while the movie is about 15 minutes too long, I still give this a solid 9.0. I think it's going to be I think it's going to be heavily nominated when it comes Oscar time, and can't recommend this one enough. Especially if you're a history buff. If you don't like history, that kind of stuff, then don't waste your time. You're probably not going to like it. There's not a lot of action. But if you want to know more about one of the greatest presidents we've ever had, definitely take you a couple hours and go see this.
Okay, well, I did see it. I think Lincoln is a good movie, but honestly, I think the movie could have been about any president. I really don't think the movie's so much a biography of the man, but of the politics of getting the slavery amendment passed. But it's a very interesting way to do a biography because it's a lot different. See, I'm just avoiding biopic altogether because I don't have to worry about it. It's an interesting way to do a biography because the movie's not so much about Lincoln, how he became president, how he became who he is. It's more about he's already president. It already started. Here's how he got this important piece of legislation passed and all the things he had to do politically to do that. And I think that could have happened now. Our
So
president.
we're freeing slaves now.
Yeah, I mean, how many presidents freed the slaves?
Okay,
and
you know what I'm
ended the
saying.
Civil War. at the
Take
same
any
time.
major political incident. It's the same kind of concept. Daniel Day-Lewis is wonderful as Lincoln.
Thanks for
What are you
downplaying
talking? That's like saying, "Fuck, G.I. Joe." That could have been about any war.
No,
really.
what I'm trying
That could have been about
what I'm trying to tell you is the movie to me was not so much about the concept of slavery. It was about the politics of getting an important thing passed in the government and how he had to work so hard with both branches of the legislation to get it done. That's what I think the movie's about. It isn't so much about Abraham Lincoln and slavery. It's about him getting an important piece of legislation. That's what the movie's about, to me.
Yeah, but it's about him being
Yes,
one of the
I
few
really like
presidents in human history that actually found a way to work with both sides of government to do something that nobody ever thought could ever be done, and it really happened. And now we get to see, an artistic rendering of how that happened.
Yeah, I get that, Chief. I don't get how you're disproving what I'm saying.
What more could you have? I mean, I don't get how this could have been about anything.
I think.
Let's say any movie could have been about anything.
I wasn't complaining. I was saying this is what the movie's about.
well,
It's not really about what you
kinda
think it is.
downplaying
You were kind of complaining.
No, I wasn't complaining. You never let me
Your
finish.
tone was complaining, sir. And I will have our listeners send an email backing me up on that.
Feedback
You had a snide
at
tone.
thehollywoodoutsiders.com.
I'm saying the movie could have been about just about any topic where an important piece of legislation was trying to get passed because the whole movie is about him working with the Senate.
That happens all the time.
With the Senate and the House to get things passed. It does happen all the time. Unfortunately,
No,
it just
it
doesn't.
doesn't, sadly.
It doesn't anymore. It used to. That said, I think Daniel Day-Lewis is wonderful as Lincoln. I think he made the president seem like a real person instead of just an acting challenge, which is what I was worried about. I thought it was going to be a piece of acting as opposed to a real character. He made it a real character. And Brian talked very much about how Lincoln told stories in the movie to kind of get people at ease, and he does a really wonderful job. He made me want to hear more stories, like Brian said. So I agree with that. That said, I don't think I'd watch it again because the film has very little replay value. Most biographies don't to me, so I give it 7 out of 10. The thing that cracked me up the most, and I told Brian this, but I'm watching this movie and the place is filled with people. The theater was packed. A lot of older people. I mean, like 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm assuming they've read a book or something, but everybody's on the edge of their seat when they're wondering if the slavery amendment is going to pass. And you okay? You need some chips?
Well, I just want something to go along with the story you're now telling. I'll tell you. It was going kind of long. I was getting hungry.
It's kind of your fault it went long. But anyway, I God damn it. I'm just saying it amazed me, the people that to me says that the movie was really well made. If you can get the entire audience that already knows the outcome of this event to be on the edge of their seat wondering if it happens. That to me is impressive. It was very impressive.
Mm-hmm. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah. Really?